Put some shades on. Daddy up, mini skirt with my shades on.
In the club, with some shades on. Daddy up, mini skirt and my shades on.
J's on my feet, J's on my feet, J's on my feet, so just like me. J's on my feet, J's on my feet, J's on my feet, so just like me.
I be in the club.
I chase dreams, I don't chase money. It's so funny, nothing you can take from me. I chase dreams, I don't chase money. I go dummy, everybody hate to love me. Why? I chase dreams, I don't chase money. It's so funny, nothing you can take from me. One deep, la sweet, la honey. I go dummy, everybody hate to love me.
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThatUmbrellaGuy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me, or I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me, or I'm a man.
I deleted my heart and I really want it back. I don't want to feel like I might be a sociopath. I deleted my heart. I was young and impulsive and I would download another, but I'm afraid it wouldn't fit. I deleted my heart. 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 Heart, 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 heart.
Hey, we love that umbrella guy. All right. Thank you.
Under my umbrella.
When I was young, it seemed that life was so wonderful, a miracle. Oh, it was beautiful. When I was young, it seemed that life was so wonderful, a miracle. Oh, it was beautiful. When I was young, it seemed that life was so wonderful, a miracle. Oh, it was beautiful.
All right. How's it going today, folks? Man, Sunday has been really Saturday into Sunday have been quite crazy. I mean, we have had Oh, we have had Elon Musk talking about how people, if they've lost everything on Twitter, because of posts. Now, there's a caveat to that. He says posts and likes. He never said self posts. Now, that may be the definer that he comes up with later, but in the moment, that opens up all kinds of possibilities. Now, I did a video on that, but what's really funny has gotten me laughing today is guess who is begging Elon Musk to come and save their career? Eve Barlow. It's so funny. What's up, Tanya? Thanks for those 8 months. Good to see you. What's up, Fallen Hero? Thank you for the gifted membership. Thanks for kicking it off, too. And Laura, thank you also for the gifted membership. Appreciate that. Thank you both. So Musk had posted this. You see the post there. And you know what? She's trying to reframe how she got canned, which I'm going to show you. This is actually the great way to kick all of today off because holy God. So Musk pointed out, again, he said, if you were you were unfairly treated by your employee due to posting. Now, again, that could mean self-posting. That might not mean self-posting. I would venture to guess it means self-posting, but that's not what it says. So everything's wide open now. And I think in the moment you can pressure people and be like, yeah, well, what about these people? What about accusation culture? What about the culture that destroys people's lives? You going to do anything about that, old Muskie? Which is its own conversation. But liking something on this platform, we will fund your legal bill. And Eve Barlow is like, where do I get in? It's like half past never. But what's funny is that she's been trying to rewrite the reason that she actually has had problems getting work, because apparently she can't get work anymore. Like, that's a funny thing because she's admitted that there are no more opportunities for her anymore. She can't get any work at all. Even the people, I'll show you, even the people that she tried to recruit, all of that, they've turned on her. Like totally turned on her. So this is the new narrative though on why exactly she's canceled. And she says it's because she called out the Black community, which I was like, wait a minute. This is going to dig its own hole because racists say what? You know how that's going to go over. And she called them out because of anti-Semitism. Nothing to do with Amber Heard. Nothing to do with Fartlow. Nothing to do with doxing. None of that stuff. No, it's because she called out the Blacks. It was like, wait, what? Why would you even post this dumb shit? Why? She could call out individuals, but being like the Black community, it's like, wait a minute. So she's like, hey, so with Kanye, with Whoopi, Jamie Foxx. Now, Jamie Foxx, if you haven't seen all the stuff going on with Jamie Foxx, it's an absolute absurdity. Because Jamie Foxx is being called an anti-Semite when he made a statement. Let me pull this up, actually. Now, I just want you to see it yourself, because Jamie Foxx has been in the middle of being canceled by a bunch of crazies, including folks like her. And all the stuff Jamie Foxx has already been through. I mean, it's nuts. The man, he almost died. And then after that, he comes out with this statement right here. Give me 1 second. So he posted this. He posted it to Instagram. Now, he had posted an apology later on. He said, that's not what I meant. I was talking about fake friends, dude. He said, they killed this dude named Jesus. What do you think they'll do to you? Hashtag fake friends. Hashtag fake love. Now, it makes it pretty clear that's about fake friends. People that turn on Jesus, they'll turn on you. But the ADL came out. The ADL loves. The ADL is without invisible enemies. The ADL, or the Anti-Defamation League, cannot function. So there always has to be an enemy. Jamie Foxx was the brand new enemy. Oh, he's a monster. And Jamie Foxx was like, hell no, that's not what I'm saying. I was saying that this is about, again, fake friends. They even hashtagged it in there. I mean, he made it pretty clear in there. You know, I think that's pretty clear. Now he again, he put out an apology on that too. And then after all of this is when Eve Barlow decides she's going to get in on trying to cancel the man. Always trying to cancel people, man. Always. That's what these fucking people do. I want to apologize to the Jewish community and everyone who was offended by my post. I now know my choice of words have caused offense, and I'm sorry. That was never my intent. To clarify, I was betrayed by a fake friend, and that's what I meant with they, not anything more. I always have love in my heart for everyone. I love and support the Jewish community. My deepest apologies to anyone who was offended. Nothing but love always, Jamie Foxx. So he clarified that. I hate that people have to do apologies for everything. You know, I've seen people out there, well, when you post something, you should be aware it might offend people. Fuck offending people. You know, if you misread something I say, you know, anything that you say can be construed as offensive. Anything. I mean, that's Twitter for you, especially. Twitter. Twitter is the kind of place. Somebody made this, and I think this is actually a very, it's a very profound statement about it. You can be like, you know what? I love pancakes. And somebody, you know, would respond with, oh my God, why do you hate waffles? You know, it's like, what? That's the way that Twitter operates. And that's the way a lot of the groups that quote unquote call out hate operate. Oh, but Eve Barlow, again, she's reframing. She's trying to redo everything. So let's get back to that. So she's been fun for the last, say, 5 days. I've been having a lot of fun because you can tell, like, she has no work. She has no nothing. You know, she's basically become a glamorized hanger-on, and it cost her everything. You know, at least at one time she would get articles. I actually would venture to say it's not just that too. Her statements with Fartlow, actually, which she went after Seth Rogen and called him a Yahtzee and said that being called Fartlow was the online equivalent to an ethnic massacre. She was essentially saying that that's essentially the first Holocaust. That's what she compared it to. I mean, she had the audacity to go out and do that. And yeah, people didn't react well to that. But anyway, so her new framing, like I said, is not much better. So she goes, Jamie Foxx, Cardi B, all exposing themselves as anti-Semites. Is now a good time to talk about how I was canceled for saying that there's an anti-Semitism problem in the Black community. I'd like my reputation back. And it's like, I don't even remember that happening, although I will laugh at it because it came up now. You know, I was like, what a stupid thing to post. Just a second here. Yeah, what's up?
I want to thank whatever fan
Uh-huh.
gave me the huge teddy bear.
Oh, yeah. You got that giant freaking teddy bear sitting in the mail.
I will give this person a shout out.
All right. Well, thank you. You going to go play your tablet now? Yeah. While I laugh at some stupid stuff.
You should be laughing at your face then.
Oh, Birder, huh? Birder. All right, go play there for real. John, thanks for the 5 there. Eve Barlow's a bad person. I have no idea what Jamie Foxx said, but I doubt he had ill intent. But Whoopi is no saint either. No, I mean, you know, people definitely. Here's the problem with what she said. The problem with what she said is she's like, hey, blacks. You know, and it's like, why would you why would you go that route? You know, whoops. She also she's been trying to also, you know, throw back in and get back on the herd train. And the funny thing is she's been getting on that anti-JD train, and she's been trying to do it like this. Barlow. Oh, when you hire Marty Singer, see, this is actually to go after Lizzo. Lizzo, if you haven't been keeping up with that, and we'll talk in depth about everything that Lizzo had been accused of. I want to make this very clear when I'm discussing this. I don't believe accusations. There is no proof whatsoever that has been brought up. In fact, there are some very disconcerting things that have come up in the accusations. Like a lot of times, there are things where the people that talked about Lizzo, they said they felt there was an environment where they had to do X, Y, or Z. They weren't told to do anything. They just felt that. Other people they felt got ahead by doing X, Y, or Z. The interviews are they're preposterous the way that comes across. But we'll see. So far, it looks pretty bad in interviews. And these are the initial interviews are your first foot forward. They gave interviews, the accusers. Now, the fascinating thing about the accusers, and I've been making fun of the Hurdies all week because of this. You either have Lizzo, who is an abuser, so that means women can be abusers, which, oh no, oh no, right? Or on the other hand, you have women accusers. And if they're lying, that means women can falsely accuse people. Oh no. So either way that it plays, it's a win-win. I think that's funny. It's a win-win as far as laughing at stupid. I mean, Gangs thinks of the vibe. It's a pretty bad burn. When the bug takes shots, I felt the heat in Missouri. Oh, she loves like banter, right? And she loves taking shots. So here they're talking about Marty Singer. Now, Marty Singer, first of all, is the Hollywood go-to. Now, this is a shot that really one of these know-nothing little places, I think it's Pop Crave. Pop Crave, by the way, if you ever wonder about these little places that become, here they are. So Pop Crave played this little game. They were like, oh, and they wanted to take their shot at JD because the Pop Crave apparently is ran by a huge Cardi B simp. You can look up their initial go-to. They sound very much like a listening believer. I mean, it's just, they make it very clear. But they were like, well, Lizzo, she picked up Marty Singer, and he's the go-to. That's what these folks keep saying. Up for her harassment and toxic workplace lawsuit. Here's some of the clients. Now, here's the thing. The clients include dozens and dozens and dozens more stars. But they don't include them. They also include the rag that they want to be like, TMZ. TMZ is one of their clients too. But guess who else is one of their clients? Amber Heard. That's right. See, Marty Singer. Now, I like this argument the Hurdies want to put out there. They're like, it was actually Johnny Depp's lawyer. And I'm like, no, he was representing both of them. That's why this was protected under attorney-client privilege. Unfortunately, Heard was dumb enough to tag in people that weren't supposed to be on this list here. She tagged in and she put at the time, property manager. Oh my God, I found out about the poop. Yeah. Put him on there and was trying to talk her ex-assistant into lying. And you can see Marty Singer tell her, that's not smart. Don't do that. He's like, I don't know what your relationship with her is at the time you fired her. You have to be careful that she will cooperate and not go public if you ask her not to be truthful. So straight up. And there were allegations from the ex-assistant Kate James that said, yeah, this person was one of the worst people I've ever been around in my life. She was an absolute monster. Now there are other statements with that too. There's one that actually includes the idea of, give me a second. You can see attorney privilege, Heard statement, current draft. So they're representing Heard. So This isn't the own they thought it was, but it is an own. Whoopsie. Oh, he only goes out and he only addresses abusers. Okay, well, good job there. Good job. John, thanks for 5. If Lizzo was a man, she'd be facing charges already. It is alleged she forced employees to eat bananas from inappropriate places. Yes, indeed. And also, the allegations that would be that is the double standard there. It is very much so. Like Lizzo still has a job, and I'm not saying that people should be fired for allegations. I'm saying in the world that you understand here, people are indeed fired all the time. They're canned like it's going out of style. I mean, you've seen it over and over again. But Lizzo, no, still got a job, still got a career. Didn't get the Manson treatment, didn't get the Depp. Again, you look at high profile names and you got to think, well, it is kind of, yeah. Now, what's funny is laughing at the simpies over all of this stuff. I've been laughing at the fact that they're like, oh my God, I hate her. I hate her. I've been like, oh man, look at them. They're turning on Eve Barlow over Jamie Foxx. Oh, and they're like, oh my God, turn on. We hate her. Oh, look at them. They're so mad. Oh, no Amber supported, ever liked Eve. Just use your GD head for once. Yeah, she admitted to recruiting, you morons. And you guys admitted to her giving you updates behind the scenes. She used to give us daily updates about how Amber was doing. She'd been recruiting before the UK trial. We always hated her. Oh, suck it. You liars, man. Oh, it's funny, though. But they've been gatekeeping a lot of their folks out. Here's a fascinating one. They've actually been, give me 1 second. They've actually been gatekeeping out other ones too, over all kinds of funny stuff. And like I said, it's a fascinating thing to watch because they're always left in a vacuum. They will eat their own. I'll make fun of them, but I rarely interact with them because they are desperate. They are whiny, and it is funny. But here, give me 1 minute here. They've actually started eating their own. Here, check this out. So one of their simpies apparently didn't toe the line very well. And as Matrix noted here, oh, you see the real Nige? Yeah. They're like, oh my God, he's so exhausting. Ugh. They support Kevin Spacey. Now, you can have your own opinions on Kevin Spacey, whether or not I've seen the allegations in the media, but one of the things that really bothers me with the Kevin Spacey trial is I didn't get to see how Kevin Spacey got cleared in not one trial, but 2 trials. He got cleared in the US and in the UK. And I would really be interested in seeing for myself exactly what swayed not 1, but 2 juries. Now, there were inconsistencies in some of the testimony. That's one of the things they went after in the first and second trial. I know that for a fact. There were also, there were character witnesses. They would have probably helped sway there. But having your opinion saying, Kevin Spacey was cleared, that apparently is a no-no. And apparently that'll get your cake kept out. They're like, you think he's innocent? And they're like, no, I think he was cleared of all charges. Oh my God, got to cancel him over that. Also, they're apparently canceling because apparently not liking Meghan Markle. Thinking Meghan Markle, quote unquote, destroyed British institutions makes you an ardent racist here. This is the poison with the idea of community. This is one of the reasons that while I love everybody and stuff, I don't let anyone tell me what the fuck to think or do. If you don't like something I do, well, just chalk it up to you're probably going to not like something anyway. And people have the right not to tune into you. I mean, that's okay too. They have the right not to listen to you. I'm not saying that you should ever do that. I welcome and I'm glad you're here. But it's ridiculous to gatekeep people out because, oh my God, they don't like X celebrity. Especially if X celebrity, if people like Chris Boozy would have told them to think differently, they would have been all over freaking all. I was gonna say all over it like white on rice or like soccer mom on frappuccino. Yeah, I was like, wait, no, maybe not that one. White on rice, soccer mom on frappuccino. I don't know. I don't know if that's the thing. It just sounded really good in my head. But it is funny. It's funny to see them like destroy one another for nothing. I mean, for absolute nothing. What's up, AJ, by the way? Thanks for those 10 gifted memberships, dude. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm going to watch them land for a second. Those look so good there. What's up, USSJ for Burlington? Thanks for the 10 months, Tuggernaut. Wishing you and your family the best. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Thank you all for being here, too. I know it's a weird day for me. I usually don't pop up today, but the Musk thing, I want to hit some more of the Dan Wooten. I still have one Dan Wooten thing, and I know next week we'll bring more. So I definitely want to hit that today. But before I hit that, I wanted to make sure that I talked about the whole idea of litigate, because I want to make something clear with this. Like, there's been discussion that Depp could be in talks with Disney, and that may well be true. In fact, there was a statement from Stephen Deuters that made some people think that's very much a possibility. I mean, here, check this out here. So this came after the Pirates push by Disney. And Disney's in a bad place right now. They're in a very bad place. And they are, for real. They're looking down the barrel of potential litigation from Gina Carano. Gina Carano, straight up, she was fired. Her statements, you don't have to like her politics, but her statements, she made a statement that was almost identical to what the Holocaust Museum had made in the past, talking about divisions, talking about how we let people be divided, how we get to this place, how something horrible happened. It didn't happen overnight. Divisions festered. People, they were convinced of othering. That's something I talk about with words like istophobe or people calling you Yahtzees. It's not meant to defame you. It's not like calling you an idiot. It's meant to other you. So it makes you an acceptable target. And the further we get into targeting, the much more easy it is to unalive someone. And that's a horrible thing. That's something that people should speak out against. Well, Carano, when she was fired, you had Disney go on the record and saying, well, right now she doesn't have any work with us. The Mandalorian was blowing up. All of her co-stars were brought back. She has a recurring character. You could see one that was a main character, but they're like, no. And as far as those tweets are concerned, blah, blah, blah. So they brought this stuff up back to back. They brought in the idea of liability. So the whole Musk discussion, definitely a Gina Carano. There are a few other people too, which I'll talk about another one in just a second. But as far as Depp's a fascinating case because it depends on how, again, I'm not saying he will do this, but depending on how the definition is, how it's defined, you've got to remember from the Virginia trial. Okay, one of the things that was brought up, there was a title to the op-ed. Now that title was off of the digital edition. It was not off of a print edition. Now, retweeting something, that doesn't necessarily constitute anything. People go in, they retweet all kinds of business. That's not you going out and really doing anything actionable. The thing, though, the thing the judge made clear is that she didn't just retweet. So, this isn't republication. She also, when she linked the article, she wrote in something. She made a post about it. The post made that actionable because the discussion over it, or whether or not it was actionable, it was asking if the additional content that she added was intended to reach a new audience. And yes, of course, it was. It was indeed meant to reach a new audience. It was meant to say, hey, I wrote this op-ed, I did this. And by its nature, that was actionable. That's what a jury found. That was widely noted. But that was a post. So if we're talking about posts that cost people their careers, depending on how that's defined, again, if we're talking about self-posts, no. But if we're talking about posts that destroy people, that's a $22 million question right there. And Musk is just crazy enough to sue. Now, he doesn't like Depp and vice versa, I'm going to say. So it would be very hard to imagine them working together in any way, shape, or form. But still, I think that pressuring Elon Musk to do that is actually a pretty fun thing. Trolling a billionaire is really fun. And publicly telling him that he needs to do that, I think that's a lot of fun too. So anyway, though, as far as Disney is concerned, though, there have been discussions about, well, JD may actually be in negotiations with them. And a lot of it rolls back to this discussion here. You can now watch one of his most underrated dramas, Minamata, on the Disney-owned streamer Hulu, which that's interesting. Minamata, the thing that they tried to lock out everywhere, go a few years and a court decision later, and you've gone from firing with pirates to actually including JD in the re-release of your greatest movies, opening up your vault. You have pirates in that, but also you have Minamata. So that is a discussion. And then they were asked, I don't suppose we dare hope this means a thawing of the Depp Disney relationship. I miss Captain Jack. And Duders, again, this is somebody very close to Depp, said, time will tell, I guess. So a lot of people have been like, well, it's not just this discussion either. You've had Disney come out and say, at this time, parties are non-committal. That doesn't mean, no, we're not going to bring him back. We're just there. And of course, Jerry Bruckheimer is one of his biggest advocates out there. So that actually matters too. What's up, Fallen Hero? Thanks for the 3. I see you, buddy. And John, thanks for the 20. Elon X'd that anyone who was injured by posting on Twitter could contact him for legal fees. Gina was the first to respond. Rumor has it that JD is also interested. That would go against a reunification story. Yeah, see, it's rumor. That's the thing. I was one of the first people to talk about the potential for it. I am not saying that is happening. What I'm saying is there is the ability for it. The first person that Musk talked openly to about this, though, was Carolyn. Now, Carolyn, she actually works for Eric July now, but at the time she worked for a game place. Right? I mean, you can look up the whole story, limited run. You can look up everything that happened there. But she was fired for essentially somebody combed through her timeline because she was an employee of this video game place, and they found that she followed libs of TikTok. Now, you can follow people for anything. You can like or dislike anyone, but the reality is you can follow people for anything. I follow people that I don't necessarily agree with. I follow people for one of the videos that I did. I followed Amber Heard on Instagram. That's not somebody I'm a fan of, but I followed them. You have no idea why somebody follows somebody, but someone dug through their timeline, found that, and then they found them participating with one tweet from 2016 in one of the controversial bathroom discussions. They found one tweet there. So they took that after Limited Run was already suspending and firing, and then they were like, okay, that's piled on, which she's talking about. So you had libs at when Elon Musk posted about this, you had libs at TikTok say, yeah, this person was fired for following me. Again, that's jacked up. Like I said, I don't care. You know, these days, when I look through a timeline now, especially, like I'm inundated with politics. All I have to do is accidentally click a button and I end up following a politician, which that's not for me. You know? But it could happen. It could happen again because I'm keeping up with a story. It could be happen for anything, a million reasons. Or it could happen because I agree with them. And it's not your fucking prerogative to tell me who the fuck I can follow online. If an employee's like that, if we live in an environment like that, they should suffer the consequences of it. Because ultimately, if they're going to police you to the point, not with your commentary, but with the idea of you just following an account that is a fireable offense, I mean, that's insanity. So Elon Musk asked if that was actually true. And she said, you know, yeah, that's accurate. It was led by someone who dug through my tweets and found a single one in 2016 regarding hesitation of people taking advantage of a bathroom discussion. It started a witch hunt. I was fired the same day. So Elon, you know, they were like, hey, I'd be happy to chat with you more about this. If you haven't heard about this story too, she did a interview with Eric July. It was actually a very good interview. She works for Ripaverse now, but you can see Elon's like, yeah, let's talk about that. So this conversation here was the first one I saw him respond to, but the first person to actually show public interest. And to be fair, like a JD is also, he's not on a Twitter. I don't think if he were on a Twitter, he would be following anything Elon Musk said anyway. But again, you can see the statement. And right after that, I saw this last night. I was going to go on a Flashcast and I had kids wired up. So we had a birthday party for the littlest one. You know, her birthday was last week. Her birthday party with family was on the weekend. So, you know, sugar wiring and all of that. Yeah. She crashed after the party and then she was awake at night. So I was like, that's not going to work. So I was watching, I was sitting around, you know, we were watching TV and stuff. And, you know, I was just letting her hang out. And I noticed all of this going on. So right off the bat, you had Gina Carano respond to it saying, yeah, I think I qualify there. And that, like I said, that could become a monster. So please, God, let these people sue. I mean, please let this happen. I'm like, oh, you know, I hate the thing that Disney is. I find it abhorrent that entertainment industry has become this thing where you've got to think about the mindset of a Disney. Disney doesn't just think that they're going to put out quality entertainment. They don't have a few people in their rank and file that think, hey, I'm going to put in social messaging and whatnot. Their company talks about how they will lead social discussions. And not only that, the egos of the people involved, like Bob Iger. Bob Iger was egotistical enough that he thought his Disney reference would get him the presidency. I mean, you talk about ego. So it'd be lucky, lucky to watch this. Oh, that'll be good. Like, I really do want to see that. Now, Danny Wooten. I want to talk about old Danny boy today. Now, Danny Wooten. We've talked about Dan Wooten. We've talked about Dan Wooten quite a bit. There have been a lot of accusations about Dan. Remember, as I've said many times, accusation does not equal guilt. of anything whatsoever. 1 second. I got a little one that's come down here. All right, sorry about that. I was getting a little one. I was like, this is not a topic for a wandering child. Yeah. So there are a few topics that's like, well, okay, but the Danny Wood, they're because they're explicit. Now, again, making this very clear, accusation doesn't mean anything. Accusation is just that. It is an accusation against a person. There has been very little in the way of substantiation, but that never mattered to Dan Wooten. Dan Wooten never gave a damn about any kind of proof. When he went out and he accused other people, he's been more than willing to burn down many a person's life. He has been suspended from one of his jobs, the Daily Mail Online, where he was writing, a twice weekly column, probably getting paid a tidy sum. I said before, I'm curious if he's actually still getting paid, but that's been suspended, and it's been suspended over a month. So again, I don't believe accusations, but Dan told me I should. So Dan should have to play by those rules. And the accusations against him are catfishing, harassment, workplace harassment, people having to be bought off, him illegally recording people for blackmail. I mean, there are a lot of, and there are some other horrific allegations that still haven't made their way out. I'm sure if they do, the litigation that would follow, I guess people don't feel good enough to include them yet. I'm not really sure. Now, the catfishing thing, though, it was all over this fake name, Martin Branning. Martin Branning, there has been no proof whatsoever added yet that Martin Branning is Dan Wooten. I've not seen proof itself. I've seen some very interesting accusations from exes and from other folks, but I haven't seen proof. So let's see what's here. Dan Wooten is Martin Branning, or Dan Wooten and Martin Branning, the proof. 7th part of the 3-year special investigation. Byline Times can reveal the internet data leaks that tie the TV presenter to the online alias he is not denied being connected to. And that is true, by the way. He worded his denial very well. Although his lawyer, I think, pretty much said categorically we deny everything. So just to be clear about that, the statement that his lawyer made felt like a categorical denial. So GB News star Dan Wooten twice used an identical password as the catfishing pseudonym Martin Branning and Maria Joseph. By the way, just noting, there's not just the accusation that he was using Martin Branning. He was also supposedly catfishing. He was catfishing hetero and homosexual men. That was the allegation. So for heterosexual men, it was Maria Joseph. To subscribe to a movie sharing website, Byline Times can reveal. The presenter used the password along with the email addresses from his private web domain, danwooten.com. Wow, this doesn't sound good here. It's starting out really bad. Oh, man. And also his official News of the World account. Oh, no. They were leaked and published on a publicly available data breach directory, October 2018. Oh, no. Oh, no. That's not good. That's pretty bad. That's actually pretty damning. I'd like to see him respond to that one because it's saying, yeah, there is proof that it's there. The proof is that email addresses, they tie to his danwooten.com. So, if it was like Maria Joseph or Martin Branning at danwooten.com, which he owns, that doesn't look good. And then it tied to his official News of the World account. He worked there before he worked at the Sun. Yeah, that's not good either. alongside Wooten's 2 email addresses revealed in a dump of login details of 743,280 users of the defunct film indexing service mydvd.overhere.com, where the email addresses Byline Times revealed Branning and Joseph used to trick and bribe scores of men into sharing compromising sexual material over a 10-year period. Wow, that does not sound good. Woo, buddy. I guess, yeah, if you're gonna make a damning accusation there and be like, "Yo, here's how we tie this together." I mean, that's a digital fingerprint. That's actually a couple of digital fingerprints, and it is fascinating to see work emails tied into something, especially. You'd be like, "Well, this could be okay." So somebody went. This was when Dan Wooten was small too. He was a small fish at News of the World. He wasn't. He had yet to reach his level of. I'm going to say infamy. Because he's kind of hated by a lot of people. But before that, to say that somebody went to that level to do all of that when he was just a small fry, that seems kind of again. That does bear some questions. That'll be really interesting to see pop up in a courtroom too. Excuse me. So further analysis of the database, which are openly available online, show Wooten also used the same password for his LinkedIn and MySpace profiles along music and fitness app sites October 2016 to October 2018. So his official LinkedIn had the exact same password tied to it as well, plus his MySpace profile, as well as other apps that he was using too. Oh, man. It'd be really funny if his password was like, it was like, I blackmail men under martinbranding.com. It'd be funny. You'd be like, wait a minute, what kind of password is that? Byline Times commission analysis of the data by an eminent PhD specialist in mathematical prediction modeling. The expert said the chance of Wooten's password randomly duplicating those of Branning and Joseph were vanishingly small. And it really depends on, like if your password was God, one of these common passwords, something like that, that'd be one thing. So I am curious what the password, actually was. But it's got to be an 8-letter password, I'm sure. Yeah, I can see that there. Actually, it's a more modern password, but still, depending on the type of password, yeah. He explained, assuming that a user can choose any 8-letter password using 26 lowercase, 26 uppercase, and a 0 to 9, then approximately 218 trillion passwords could be formed. All this is assuming people can choose passwords at random, which is certainly not true. This could make the probability of the 3 same passwords much higher. However, the probability would still be millions to 1. Yeah, I mean, that's that definitely is something else. In a special 3-year investigation into the personal and professional conduct of 40-year-old Wooten, this newspaper has uncovered extensive evidence that he targeted journalistic colleagues, friends, and members of the public with elaborate ruses to obtain privately sexual explicit imagery. Byline has revealed how Wooten, whose Mail Online column has been paused while an independent investigation is conducted by DMG Media following the newspaper's report, rented the Facebook accounts of adult film stars so he could catfish unsuspecting victims into being the subject of covert sexual videos and charged it to his employers. And how Murdoch News UK paid off 6 employees of The Sun who say Wooten forced them out of their jobs. The allegations were more than just forced out of their jobs, by the way. The allegations have been that there was harassment there, but one of the one person, there was the allegation that they were sexually harassed by Dan Wooten, and they were forced to change job positions as well. So there were more allegations than that. But these are the NDAs that keep coming up. The allegations about they paid them off, they silenced them behind everything. Those will be very hard to, if those exist, those will be very, very hard to actually really just wash away. So this newspaper has exposed Wooten as Mariah Joseph, a honey trap who for years harassed men for nude pictures. As we have unmasked him as Martin Branning, a faceless character who targeted men, some heterosexual and married, with bribes up to £30,000 for compromising images. One gay man, carefully drawn in by Branning, even became the object of a 10-year blackmail campaign that saw him forced to make a secret sex film of his own partner, leaving him at the brink of suicide over his actions. Now, that was the allegation. That was actually one of the first allegations that came up. Remember, there was the interview with that person. They essentially said, they had met Dan a few times here and there. They didn't know them, but they were a co-worker of Dan Wooten was a co-worker of their boyfriend, I guess, at the time, their other, however you want to call that, significant other, that they had been contacted by Martin Branning. They were offered £5,000 a week to do explicit material. They did explicit material. And then after a while, they were asked to covertly include their significant other, the colleague of Dan Wooten. So that's the allegation with that. Again, what crazy stuff there. Though Wooten has said he denies any allegations of criminality, his representatives have not denied that he is or is connected to the identities of Branning or Joseph. So today, in the seventh part of our investigation, this newspaper has taken a deep dive into Wooten's online presence and reporting on its findings. All bylines evidence has been lawfully and ethically uncovered using open sources, began with examination of email addresses of Martin Branning and Mariah Joseph. So that would be at live.co.uk. So the audit trail. First byline Times engaged in a cybersecurity, or they engaged with a cybersecurity professional to examine the two anonymous website addresses, which this newspaper has independently established were set up between May 2007, 3 months after Wooten first began working for Murdoch, June 2008 in the case of Branning, and February 2009 in the case of Joseph. Now, by running the two addresses through a specialist anti-cyber crime software, we discovered that both had been revealed in a leak from the site we discussed, MyDVD, in October 2018. This data breach exposed the identical passwords attached to both. The cyber expert who ensures online security for a number of high-profile figures said the password was very specific. So then I reverse searched the system for breaches that contained the password. Within that search, there were several of particular interest. At least 5 further webmail addresses containing the name Wooten or a close variant turned up in the reverse search with the identical password. However, to preserve the integrity of our research, Byline Times excluded the 5 from its statistical analysis and instead focused entirely on the October 2018 MyDVD leak with its use of official proprietary addresses for Wooten, the most recent of which was published online in a data breach in April this year. Among a smaller data set of just over 743,000 compromised user details. Good Lord, man. So, I mean, if you pop So you're popping 7 email addresses. I'd like to know the password though. Like that's the problem. If they tell me the password, then if some of these that could really cause them problems, because if they're live and they note that and somebody breaks into something and they weren't connected, ooh, that's a problem for them. If they just randomly, outed one or two, that would not be good. But at the same time, I'd like to know the complexity. Again, they gave, well, let's just say it's X amount of letters, X amount of, and it's like, no, I'd actually like to know exactly what it is. Because if we're talking a common one, it can't be too common if you only get 7 hits out of millions, or 743,000 off of one and then the other breaches. It can't be too commonplace. So I'd like to know the statistics on the 7, just to say, how randomized is that? What are the odds of that happening? So by examining pages of the mydvd.overhere.com site preserved in snapshots by the Wayback Machine, let's just say, Byline Times discovered the site used to be a valuation and indexing tool for the promotion of personal DVD collections. My DVD was also an authoring software format used by video editors who wanted to make professional looking homemade films on DVDs in higher resolution with added menu features and music. Yeah, it's just like, they're basically that can make it sound like that was being used for some kind of nefarious reason, but that does not necessarily mean that either. It does necessarily mean it if you have the addition of the Martin Branning address. If that one is linked over and it's making videos and that it's out catfishing and has been doing that for years, yeah, that's pretty much saying it is being used for nefarious purposes. It's not like they're like, yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to make a home movie of the fam. No, no, probably not. Byline Times investigators also looked for other connections between Mariah Joseph and Martin Branning in order to further establish their interactivity online. That yielded a new connection between the two, revealed on open source who.com site, linking them to a further single LinkedIn account. That's interesting. Both catfishing accounts linking to a single LinkedIn account. The newspaper has spoken to the owner of the LinkedIn account, who says they had no knowledge of either Martin Branning or Mariah Joseph, although they knew of Wooten, so they knew of him. They didn't know them from television and newspaper roles. Our digital research into the links between Wooten, Branning, and Joseph supports a series of direct human testimonials gathered by this newspaper. They include the account by Alex Truby, which we read the last time that we had a live stream. I thought that was if you didn't catch that one either, it answered a lot of questions about what kicked all of this stuff off. Remember, Dan Wooten actually went out and tried to discredit specific folks by calling them criminals and more. But the one person that wasn't a criminal wasn't easily negated because of an escort or something like that was Alex Truby. Alex Truby was the ex-partner of Wooten. Wooten instead called him his abuser. So in that, one of the two is definitely not telling the truth. And Truby, again, they gave an interview to Byline, which we read. So, who says in 2012 that he discovered a hold-all containing chat records of Branning, along with covert sex videos in Wooten's flat. Alongside Mr. Truby, Byline Times has spoken to multiple sources who have provided solid connection between Wooten and Branning. We have heard firsthand how Wooten told a friend, quote unquote, in a moment of crisis of his activities of Branning and feared a quote unquote pile on of victims should he be exposed. In another case, the newspaper heard how Wooten engaged from the shadows of the branding persona, which he had been using to control a man into making sex films with strangers for him, to directly proposition him to make unlawful covert recordings. Again, that was the co-worker attachment allegation. Byline Times has gathered statements from victims of Mariah Joseph who elicited critical facts from the catfish. When one accused Joseph directly of being Wooten, the Facebook account presenting as hers immediately shut down. That was actually in another article too. They said that, yeah, they had been catfished. They had gone back and forth. They considered this to be a real person at first. And then, as things went on, they recognized specific details in it. They asked point blank. They were like, Dan. They basically called them out as Dan Wooten, and the account decided it needed to ghost at that time. So another victim realized that Joseph's Facebook profile had a geolocation in New Zealand, Wooten's native country, which he visits regularly. When the victim quizzed Joseph about it, they forced an admission that the person messaging was in fact a man who continued to sexually harass them, offering them escort work, quote unquote, if it was completely kept quiet. Joseph added in an email, June 8, 2013, okay, I'll admit, I'm actually a guy. Would you ever get a job from a guy for good money if you knew it would be completely discreet? The victim told the newspaper, I had a connection to Dan through work. There was no other reason for Mariah Joseph to target me. It was really dark behavior. Again, so you see how the accusations, this is how the co-worker blends into it as part of the harassment allegations. They're saying catfishing for one. Truby said that the one with the 10-year was more of an obsessional thing. But the others, yeah, exactly. Somebody's like, job. Yeah, a job. Exactly. 7 days ago, Byline Times presented the raw data in this article to the Metropolitan Police as part of an update to a 28-page dossier on our investigation, which we first made available to detectives on June 20th, 2023, before publishing the first article in the series on July 17th. Now, we haven't seen that. And again, the way I took the dossier, I don't know how much quote unquote proof was added. It sounds like, the way they made it sound, it was 12 people plus the 6 from the Sun. So they were saying 18. Now, again, as I've said a million times, quantity of allegation does not matter. It may sound, you may be like, oh my God, 18 people. Well, that doesn't mean anything. How many people hate you enough to ruin your life? You might have a few out there. If you have more than one, and over time, there will be people that will want to ruin you. So, quantity doesn't necessarily mean anything. Similarities in stories don't necessarily mean anything. But when you come together and you combine everything with some of them having, again, the allegations of him faking stories and then paying off some of these people that were as part of the blackmail scheme, paying them off with funding from the Sun, so he could create fake article sourcing. Yeah, some of that actually bears a little more critique, in my opinion. Where did this source come from? Was this actually a source, Dan? What about the other ones where they're saying they weren't sources, but you paid them? So were they sources? And if they were, you're just talking about some rando porn star here. Or how would they know the inner workings of a relationship between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? That was one of the that was one of those. Again, some random adult film star they were sent $1,500 for a page 1 story that went over to page 4 and 5. They were considered a source for that story. So again, I think that would bear some investigation and a little bit of analysis there. Now, Byline Times has asked the new legal representatives for Dan Wooten detailed questions about the password breaches. In response, they did not deny the connection between the 4 accounts and appeared to confirm that Wooten used passwords for the accounts mentioned in the above article. We will update, blah, blah, blah. Now, they talked about the paragraph on probabilities of the same password being used by all 3 accounts. They amended to, which we didn't. I guess we didn't see the amendment, so they do have a footnote on that. Now, again, as I've mentioned before as well, I don't trust any of these outlets. I also don't trust Dan Wooten. So it's basically, to me, watching stuff like this, it's kind of like a Chris Boozy Cat Tinbarge moment. Cat Tinbarge decided to go after Chris Boozy, decided to wreck him online. And she did, by the way, because she was picking up. Now, she made it sound like she came up with all these different items because she was a good journalist, when really they were just posts that people had put up, of people that she would attack, by the way, just to note, people that she would dogpile. But they were right about Boozy. And that was entertaining. Does that mean you like either one that's involved? Absolutely not. But it's damn well entertaining to watch the pile on. And you see that. That's how I look at this. Again, with the Dan Wooten thing, it's fascinating to see how many people, too, watch Dan Wooten regularly. I've seen people defending him, saying this, we have to assume innocence there. And it's fascinating because they watched him for years not assume other people's innocence. So why should that play by the values of others when he himself, he never professed said value? See, that's the thing that really irritates me about that. Anyway, I think that's interesting info, too. It's an ongoing story. We don't necessarily know anything on Wooten. His lawyers are responding with threats. Essentially, well, according to the Daily Beast, anybody that's reaching out, as far as a journalist is concerned, is getting a 3-page threat sent to them. I think that might actually be interesting. I wish somebody would publish their 3-page threat. I'd like to read it. But I'm sure it's a type of cease and desist, telling them, hey, you can't make these allegations. And here's the thing, though, and this is the same game that I saw somebody complaining about this. And I do this intentionally when I post about Dan Wooten, because it's the same game he played. If I talk about allegations against Dan Wooten, I will use the word allegedly, or I will use words claimed or other things, because they aren't my claims, first of all. But it's also the game Wooten played, but he played it a little bit worse. Because again, he wouldn't just report this. Like if we went through here, he would aim it at people's careers. And that's where you get into a kind of insane realm. Because when you think about it, he didn't write articles, again, pointing them at a Depp, saying, hey, what do you have to say about this? Which Byline Times is asking him, hey, what exactly do you think about this? What do you have to say? They didn't even include him in those original articles. They actually went around that. They went after J.K. Rowling, which is essentially going after Warner, going after movies that he was part of, and they weaponized the whole Me Too movement in order to do so. It wasn't asking for a statement. It wasn't asking for a statement with lawyers. That's the thing. A lot of people don't understand about like an Adam Waldman. And Adam Waldman, if you look at what he was doing, Adam wasn't just building a case. Adam was he wouldn't punch, but he would definitely counterpunch anything. If it stuck its head up, if it made allegations, he would lay it out. And that was very important because that's why they hate Adam Waldman. That's why they do anything to discredit him, because ultimately he wasn't playing by their rules. He was playing by the rules that you have to play by if you want to reestablish your career. And that's what he was going for. Man, John, thank you for the additional 10 gifted memberships too, my friend. Thank you for that. Saw that come in. I thought that was the other one before. Thank you, my friend. I thought this, like I said, was interesting though. And I think there will be more. There's been, like I said, there's been quite a few articles written on him so far. You can see this. If you don't want to catch them up in live streams, you can just go through and read about what's there. And on top of it, you should include in the Guardian. Now, I do have questions about this stuff. My questions, and again, I pose these to Byline Times. I would pose these to the Guardian as well. They say they investigated this for 3 years. Why did it take 3 years to put it all together? When they started looking and they started finding those connections, was it waiting for other people to make this statement because of liability? I mean, the first person to really pop off with this was that Alex Truby. They made statements. It caught a lot of attention. And from there, that firestorm, it just kept spreading. And, you've got to remember that the Dan Wooten story, it's only been going on for 2 weeks. Like, it may seem like there's been so much of it that it seems like it's been months of it. But there's only been 2 weeks so far. You've had, again, 18 allegations at least. There have actually been other allegations that are not included in that too. But again, they haven't been written up or added to anymore. But there were other items as well. But I mean, that's a crazy amount of stuff just popping off at Dan Wooten. And Dan Wooten says the reason that it's happening is because dark forces are aligned to take him out because he is the anti-woke. He is the guy that is out there challenging the establishment. Although, as Alex Truby said, and I very much agree with this too, Dan Wooten, he professes to be on one side of politics now, and he wasn't. He wasn't before. He wasn't on a social fight. Before, he was very much buried in the listen and believe crowd. He very much, and he took those tactics forward. He just shifted the goalposts, as it were, claiming, hey, this is the side I'm actually talking about now. Same tactics, just a different discussion. And again, the people that see that, it's amazing that people don't recognize that. If you look, again, his work with the Sun, it's very clear. It's very clear what he was aligned with, what exactly types of politics or social beliefs that he made manifest. So for him, but in the last year, I've learned and changed. I've become this other guy. No. You got a different career. Crystal Love, thanks for the 10 months. Thanks, Tug. Love to you and yours. Thank you. Appreciate that. Karen, thanks for the 7 months. People, likes matter. Please hit the like button. Yeah, indeed. When you're going out on there, hit the like button, of course. I'm going to cut it here, though. I think we put in quite a bit. We put it in quite quickly as well. We'll hit quite a few subjects. I think, too, there will be some other topics. The next time we live stream, I also want to talk about, so everybody I knew went to, they were going to see the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. And I thought it looked like hot garbage. I'm actually, I'll watch something for free, but I didn't want to see that. Honestly, there were plenty of really good Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. I just didn't want to watch that garbage because it looked terrible. I figured it'll make its money back for sure. and more. It only had a $70 million budget. But instead of doing that, I went and saw the Meg too. My oldest daughter's like, oh, yeah, sharks. Now, I'm not saying that was a great move. There were a lot less sharks in that. A lot less. I can't believe, less sharks in your giant shark movie. But we'll talk about that next time. I think it'll make a fun discussion too as part of this. But anyway, I appreciate you folks. I'm going to end here. See ya.